Right now, let's talk about someone who has really got fluff, at least as far as I'm concerned. Our guest of the evening, that ultra-polite Japanese detective of the screen, Mr. Moto, or as his paychecks have it, Peter Lorre. Hello, Peter. How is the old cruise horse?
Fine, Ken. How is the old buffoon?
Yeah.
Say, Mr. Moto, parlez-vous Japanese?
Irene, it isn't Mr. Moto, it's Mr. Lorre, and he's not Japanese, he's Hungarian.
Oh, a Hungarian detective. How romantic. Mr. Lorre, could I ask you something?
Why, yes, of course, Irene.
Well, it's sort of personal. But since you're Hungarian and a detective,
Well, don't be afraid, Irene. Go ahead and ask me.
Well, what do they put in that goulash?
Yeah. Irene, look, go sit in that corner over there. When I call you, don't come out.
All right.
You'll have to pardon her, Peter, a nice girl. But if you mentioned IQ to her, she'd ask you how to spell it.
Well, Ken, you see, she's the hyper-emotional type. I would say offhand that she came from the Far East, probably around New York.
Hey, that's pretty good. That's pretty good, Peter. Playing Mr. Moto has made quite a detective of you.
Oh, I just fool around with it a little bit.
Yeah? All right. Look, tell me, where was I last night? What did I do?
Well, I would say last night you ate dinner at about 7:30, and then you went to a new thrill theater, and then you drove home in a yellow roadster with green wheels.
Why, that's absolutely right. How did you figure that out?
I was with you, remember?
But you know something, Peter? It's quite a novelty to see you doing detective work without free dishes or screeno.
No, I'm not really a great detective, Ken. I'm merely a victim of typecasting. You see, they wanted a man who looked like me to play Mr. Moto. I looked like me, so I became Mr. Moto.
I see a face only a Moto could love. Peter, I'm a bit of an amateur detective myself, but I'd better not tell you that one.
Oh, I'd be very pleased to hear about it.
Well, a friend of mine missed a very valuable watch recently, so he called me in to solve the mystery, see? I searched the house thoroughly, and 3 hours later, I broke the case.
How did you do it?
I stepped on the watch.
Don't you have on this show jokes and music?
Well, yes, we have jokes and music, of course.
If stepping on a watch was a sample of the former, may we just have a touch of the latter, please?
Oh, I see. That's the neatest Oriental brush-off I ever got from a Hungarian. Ladies and gentlemen, Miss Langford will now please Mr. Lorre with a touch of the latter. Nice going, David Brookman. Say, Peter.
Yes, Ken.
Peter, there's something I want to ask you. Did Mr. Moto ever collaborate with another detective on a case?
Oh, no. All great detectives work alone.
Well, there's something I've always wondered. I wonder what would happen if all the great detectives of fiction worked together on the same case.
Well, as a matter of fact, I recall working on a case like that.
You do?
It all began on a rainy September evening back in 19...
Calling all cars. Go to 426 Ivanhoe Street. A woman is screaming that her husband's been murdered. She's annoying the neighbors, that is all.
Yes? What is it?
I am Dick Tracy, detective. You are Mrs. Belthorpe?
Yes. Oh, I'm so glad you've come, Mr. Tracy. My husband has been murdered. Gee, Dick, has Tess Trueheart been giving you a runaround?
Don't worry, Mrs. Belthorpe. I'll solve this case, or I'm not square-jawed Dick Tracy.
Yes? What is it?
Good evening. Is there a murder in the house?
Yes. My poor husband was murdered.
Oh, so? In the East, we have a proverb. Murder is like a litchi nut, but a litchi nut is like a murder. I may not have that exactly right.
I don't believe I know you.
Oh, so? My card, madame, if you please.
Mr. Moto, Oriental detective and break 3 lines.
Sometimes detective business gets very slow. Who is this, the court?
No, that's Dick Tracy.
Oh, so?
Hello, Moto. How's business?
Oh, so-so.
What a blessing wishing that in my hour of tribulation, sorrow, and need, Providence should send me 2 such splendid flat feet. Excuse me. I'll have my maid answer it. Oh, Francie Lou. Yeah, well, I'm coming. Yeah, who is y'all?
I am Sherlock Holmes. That's the wrong voice, isn't it? That's right. I am Sherlock Holmes, and this is my assistant, Dr. Watson of London.
Hi, gentlemen.
How's it, babe? By Joe?
I deduced that you are the maid, miss.
How in the world did y'all know that?
Elementary, my dear, elementary. You have on a cap and apron, you're carrying a mop, and besides, I used to be the Iceman.
Amazing, Holmes.
Elementary, my dear Watson, elementary. You're Mrs. Beldorf, aren't you?
Oh, no, I'm Mr. Moto.
Amazing, Holmes.
Elementary, my dear Watson, elementary.
Why does he keep saying elementary?
He spent 14 years in elementary school.
Quiet, Watson, I'm making deductions. I'm allowed deductions here, you know. This is the Income Tax Bureau. Well, I'm ready to go to work on this case. You know my methods, Watson.
Sure I do. But to save a little time, I kissed the maid for you.
Darn it, Watson, that's the best part of the case, too.
Oh, Mr. Holmes, I'm so glad you've come. My husband has been murdered.
Is that the corpse over there?
No, that's Dick Tracy's.
I thought it was Mr. Moto.
In the East, we have a proverb. Crime doesn't... Oh, I forgot how it ends.
Oh, hello, Moto. How are you, old chap?
Oh, very good, Mr. Holmes. Very good. Thank you very much. How are things in business?
Well, Modi, business ain't what it ought to be. Too much price cutting. I can't compete with those low-priced Chinese detectives. Now, that Charlie Chan goes on a case, solves the mystery, and does the client's laundry free.
Yeah, he does a big job, that Charlie Chan.
Yeah. Listen, I knew that Charlie Chan when he didn't have a magnifying glass to look in. He's the guy that killed prices in this business. Gentlemen, let's get back to the case. Mrs. Beldorf, just how was your husband killed?
Oh, the poor man. He was shot 12 times with a machine gun, stabbed in the back with a dagger, poisoned, and hit over the head with a hatchet. And now he's dead.
Oh, I couldn't tell you that.
Well, let's see, Mrs. Beldorf. Number 1, your husband was murdered. Number 2, he's dead. Number 3, what do you want me to do?
Find out who did it.
Oh, well, naturally, it was the butler.
The butler? Why, the butler wouldn't hurt a fly, bless his heart. And besides, we haven't got a butler.
Well, we can't stay here all night. Hire one.
In the East, we have a proverb. Next time, try a Texaco dealer.
Oh, I can't stand it any longer, I confess. I killed my husband.
If we only had a clue.
Yeah.
I killed him, I tell you, I killed him.
Just a second, lady. We'll get it. Now, let's give it time.
I hated him. I'm glad I killed him.
Say, Mr. Holmes, do you think it could have been a maid?
It wasn't the maid, it was me. I killed him. Honestly, I did.
This is the most baffling case I've ever had. Not a clue. Yep, you're right, Holmes. I think I'll go home and sleep on it. Bye.
So long, Mr. Tracy. See you in the funny papers.
Now, Mrs. Beldorf, let's be calm. Do you know anybody who might have murdered your husband?
Yes, I murdered him. I hated him. And last night I crept upstairs, shot him, stabbed him, poisoned him, and hit him over the head with a hatchet.
Well, I see we're not going to get anything out of you.
In the East, we have a proverb. Even your best friend won't tell you.
Amazing, Holmes.
What's amazing, Watson? I didn't say anything.
That's amazing enough for me.
Come along, Mr. Holmes. We can learn nothing here.
But wait, I tell you,
We'll send you your bill in the morning, Mrs. Beldorf. Crime doesn't pay, but you will.
But aren't you going to arrest me? I tell you, I killed him.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.
In the West, we have a proverb. Oh, nuts.